Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 2019 AMobile Solution Forum. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have this afternoon packed with keynote speech, light demo showcases, and open discussions. I'm very excited to get it started, and I hope that you are too. Now, without further ado, please let us welcome Deputy CEO of Arbor and AMobile, Justin Chen.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to AMobile Forum. We are very glad to have all of you coming here during Friday afternoon. Again, I have to express our sincere appreciation to all our partners, customers, and our keynote speakers. Thank you very much. Since all the technology start to innovate it and pass through all the revolutions, we all know that everything becomes smart and also connected with our industry. So our theme today will be talking about how technology leads to a smart life, and as AMobile and Arbor's team producing Beauty Connect industry and making our industry connected. What we have been done through the past 26 years, AMobile and Arbor Group have been producing innovative products and solutions based on the technology transformation. So what we would like to present is a complete ecosystem from offering sensors through our mobile gateways, which including our mobile devices and rugged tablets. Then through all this production, as you can see, including a lot of different devices, no matter is mobile inspection assistant equipment or some of the super cat power backup systems for industrial grade, and also some of the vehicle telematic mounted panel PC through some of the patient monitor terminals. All these mobile gateways connect to machine learning and the AI software bundling together through cloud and through a lot of different communication, such as 5G and narrowband IoT. We all know that the technology transfer from analog to digital. We are entering into IoT era. So when we talk about industry IoT solution covering a lot of application and products, I believe all of our partners and keynote speakers, companies' products into this ecosystem. So through all this communication, connectivity, we are going to create a lot of blockchain into specific applications, such as energy, transportation, medical, and some of the environment. So we talk about industrial IoT solution. Then, of course, a lot of the user cases demonstrate complete end-to-end solution or B2B solutions. So as you can see, AMobile intelligent solution provide our design capability, no matter it's ODM service or OEM service. We have our great production team can provide you a lot of solution based on specific requirement. Also, our turnkey solution can emphasize in different industry. Some of the application happening in mobile or medical industry that we have never been seeing. A very special case that we are using our mobile device in a lot of the point of care medical market. You can use such mobile devices diagnosis some cholesterol, diabetes, or some of the concussion diagnosis. So the product is not only a product anymore. It demonstrates a lot of the customer or technology know-how through different applications. So what we want to align with all the customers here and partners is presenting industrial IoT solutions. So we are a big butterfly. Why we talk about butterfly is because AMobile Arbor are the main body of this big butterfly. All of our strategic partners and the customer are in our right wing and left wing. I believe each of you are a small butterfly working with your clients, your partners, and your implement and customer as well. So we are hoping every one of you can fly with us together. We talk about a lot of competitive competition or block market. Then everybody is wondering, how can we break through the bottleneck and create a win-win business model? So during such competitive dynamics, we are encouraging all our partners and the customer sharing all your cases. So during today's forum, we are going to invite our keynote speaker from Honeywell and MediaTek, also some of our partner Arbor Australia, to demonstrate their true deployment from different fields. So from today's forum, I believe all of you are learning and sharing, becoming our ecosystem. So again, on the behalf of Arbor Group and AMobile Solution, we thank you for your coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, coming up next, we have a guest speaker.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Joe Wang. I joined MediaTek in 2005 from a Tencent engineer to a software PM and then a product manager of our emerging business unit now. AMobile is MediaTek's very important customer and partner, and it's my honor to be here to present the trend and opportunity in new generation cellular IoT that is narrowband IoT market out here for you today. This picture is our headquarters with 3 buildings in Hsinchu Science Park, Taiwan, and we also have 2 buildings in Taipei, Taiwan. Time-wise, MediaTek is already 22 years old, and we are celebrating our 22nd anniversary now. And we merged Morningstar. I remember when we merged M-Star successfully, I received M&M chocolate as a gift. That means we melt together. And Aloha with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, GPS, product area, Reach-Tech with power management IC, charger, product area, and Lily-Tech with multimedia product area. Those are all MediaTek's subsidiary companies, and we leverage all our companies' resources as a group. So this is MediaTek. And since people are all talking about 5G, in the beginning, I would like to introduce MediaTek's vision and view in 5G. High throughput and low latency communications and massive connection to machine are the 3G triangle. MediaTek is a mobile phone chip supplier, so we all know that MediaTek has 3G feature phone, 3G and 4G smartphone chipsets. Wireless communication is our core business, and we also have display and DTV platform with world's #1 revenue. So since 5G system includes mobile, enhance the mobile broadband, we definitely will have those 5G consumers product for sure. But 5G also have the driven of the IoT devices. So besides those consumer products, we also believe IoT products like smart meters, trackers, vehicles ADAS will be have more important role in the future. So that's why MediaTek developed NB-IoT chipset. So this is our 5G vision, and besides this beautiful 5G vision, let me still take a little bit move back to the current status. Okay? IoT is nothing new, so we all know we have the smart city, and we want to check our kids' health, and so we will have the personal checking. But from the smart home is indoor, and we may use Wi-Fi, and the outdoor we may use the traditional cellular standard like 2G. For example, we all know share bike is popular ones in China, so our customer like AMobile, OFO, Hello Bike in China use our 2G chipset to do the mobile, to do the share bikes lock, unlock, and the location tracking. However, if this area has too many bicycles, the consumer can unlock the bicycle successfully because there is many network congestion and traffic jam in 2G environments. So the services cannot be fulfilled well by legacy wireless technology. That's why we need some low power RAN technology such as IoT, NB-IoT. Let's break down to the indoor and outdoor challenge of our IoT services. For the indoor IoT service, we believe the first limitation will be the setup. One China appliance brand name, maybe 2 years ago, they find us and they complained to us that the activation rate for Wi-Fi internet is very low. 2 years ago, it's under 10%, and even now it's still under 20%. So I think it's very difficult for normal user with less technical background to follow the instruction user menu to set up the internet. And the second limitation is the wireless protocol and standard. You must be very familiar with this kind of statement. You must buy something and then your internet IoT device can be work or control normally. And the other challenge is if you turn off your Wi-Fi AP, and the connection will be lost, and there will be no continuous data guarantee. So it requires a unified protocol and need more easy way to install. Okay, this is the challenge of indoor IoT service. And the challenges of outdoor IoT services is we use complicated technology like LoRa, 6 for the outdoor IoT. And those technology are unlicensed wireless and is proprietary technology. It's not standard. And one of our customers who developed smart water meter told us they use LoRa solution, and when they do the test, they found, they need more LoRa gateway. So they spend more money to buy another one LoRa gateway. That make the budget and the increased cost. So this is the one challenge, the first challenge. And the second challenge is the coverage, signal coverage. If you need the logistic checker, so maybe the LoRa and SIGFOX can cover those wide area coverage. So maybe you need some traditional cellular standard like 4G or 2G. 2G has the problem like I just expressed, like traffic, they will cause some network congestion, and 4G is the power consumption is big, so we need low power consumer product and a new low power WAN technology. So we need a dedicated IoT solution like narrowband IoT. So this is table show the cellular standard and it can use in the IoT device. The right one is GPRS. We all know that is the drawback and it's in the sunset, will be phased out soon. And the left one is the K4 LTE, and the problem is the power consumption is too big. Okay, so we suggest the dedicated IoT solution will be the NB-IoT. NB-IoT has many advantages like the same system, it can use real-time OS, and it needs only the low memory footprint, and the most important is it can prolong the battery life. If you use NB-IoT technology, and the device with battery can last like 10 years at one time. And also, the cell can cover like 50 to 100K connection per cell. So this is the advantage for using NB-IoT. And so where to use NB-IoT? We think if you need low power, small data transmission for guaranteed status update, like smart energy, smart meter, smart gas meter, smart city, you can use NB-IoT. Okay. There is an interesting naming rule. We add smart like smart home, smart health, smart city, smart watch, and now if you think smart is not strong enough, maybe you can add intelligent. Like our customer now develop some intelligent trash can, intelligent refrigerator. If you think intelligent is still not powerful, you can add AI. So now AI is more confident. Okay, this just lists some area that NB-IoT can widely adapt it because the operator already deployed widely the NB-IoT network. And what's the differential for MediaTek's NB-IoT? Okay, MediaTek NB-IoT, we provide the location accuracy, and for the mobility, we already test in Shanghai. We drive with a car with 120 kilometers per hour, and with our fast switching the ankle cell, it can still locate the IoT device. So, and then in the latest release 14 specification, it has 150 kbps per second high data rate. Okay, it's 5 times faster than the release 13 spec. Okay, these are MediaTek's NB-IoT technologies advantage. And in MediaTek's view, we will have 3 steps to build the IoT network. We now is in the step 1, and let me show the step 1 with this slide. Okay, MediaTek's NB-IoT solution already ready in 2017, okay, 2 years ago, and we support release 13 and release 14, and we support broadbands from 450 megahertz to 2.1 gigahertz. Okay. We also passed AMobile certification with band 71, and we use latest release 14 modern technology. Okay, and those advantage I already showed you in the previous slide. Okay, and second is we are highly integration with low power design. We design with our world-leading SoC technology, so our chipset is very small, and you can use our chipset to make very small module or product. Okay, and of course, our technology can guarantee the low power. Okay. So, besides the chip itself, we also can combine our connectivity technology, like we can use the Wi-Fi indoor location, and we also have GPS chipset, so you can use our Wi-Fi and GPS 3 chip set to develop very completion product. And I heard one interesting story yesterday. OC product with NB-IoT and 2G. Okay, this is the step 2. We hope our NB-IoT chipset can let our customers produce many various products like wearable and smoke detector, or some motorcycle tracker, car tracker, and some smart monitoring devices. Okay. And we also plan additional products, like we will have our next generation of NB-IoT chipset in 2020. Okay. This is a business example, like we hope we will have very vertical application and horizontal application. So if you care about the health of the elderly, maybe you need some biosensor to check the heart rate, or if they have the AF, okay, and if the oxygen status is okay, or if the blood pressure is high or low. So this is just a demonstration that you can use our MBLT to send the big data to the cloud. Okay, so I guess this is the MBLT that MediaTek implemented, and at the end we will give you some local performance proven material. And sorry is in Chinese because it's China operator CMCC's report. But I just show you that we have 5-star performance in our low power. Okay, besides CMCC and China Telecom also gives us 5-star performance. Okay, and this is that with MediaTek's MBLT chip, the product battery can reach 10 years life cycle. So this the chart compares the Hypercom, RDA, and OPA. We are the best one. Okay, and at the end, this is our MBLT global LT footprint. We already, besides in China, we also passed the operator certification in Japan, Korea, Europe like BT, Vodafone, and North America like T-Mobile, and we will finish AT&T's certification soon, and Verizon. Okay, I hope with MediaTek chipset can make you let business happen. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jill, for your sharing. Now, please welcome our next speaker, General Manager of AMobile Australia, Gary Dennis.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you and welcome to the stage. My name is Gary Dennis. I would like to say to you a very Australian welcome. G'day. Can everybody say this now? G'day. Very good. Okay, very glad. Thank you very much, Joe, for your presentation. And interesting, the statistics that you mentioned in your slide are matching very much with the statistics in my slide, even though I didn't see your slide. So very happy. Today I have been asked to present some use case scenarios and some examples, real life examples of how we are using LoRaWAN and how we're using NB-IoT. And I thought that as part of that presentation, maybe I should explain the difference between, for the people who don't know. For the engineers that we have in the room, please apologise in advance because you probably know more than me. I'm a salesperson. So, big question, LoRaWAN versus, or LoRa versus narrowband IoT, and why would you use one as opposed to the other? Typically, if you're deploying a requirement to measure each device within a closed campus environment or an isolated environment, LoRaWAN is more than capable of doing this. The challenge, of course, is when you move outside of the campus where you want to go global, national, the requirement for a gateway makes a prohibitive cost because you have to power the gateway, you have to manage the gateway, it has to be indoors typically. So when we look at the statistics, this table here actually reflects this graph here. In terms of quality of service, LoRa doesn't provide a quality of service, okay? Whereas the NB-IoT provides carrier-grade service guarantee and security. If we look at the licensing, yes, LoRa doesn't require a license. NB-IoT does require a license as part of the LTE spectrum. However, in most of the cities where NB-IoT has been deployed, it is being made available for a negligible amount, something like $500. It's not a big deal. And typically the telco will wear this cost on behalf of the customer. Again, LoRa requires a gateway, so it drives up the cost, and any cost offset then with the narrowband IoT does not require that cost. Latency, very high latency in the LoRa situation, very low latency as described before in the narrowband IoT. So if we're wanting to send a lot of information very, very quickly and we have a high density, the NB-IoT is more suitable than LoRaWAN. NB-IoT can put potentially 100,000 connections per cell at any one time. Of course, data rates in LoRa typically less than 50 kilobits per second, whereas in the NB-IoT space we can get up to 5. Often they're now with the current release 10 times the data rates. The urban range, 2 to 5 kilometers typically for LoRa, and we see that with the NB-IoT 16 to 20 kilometer range, and because it has a 20 dB amplification capability, it's actually got a greater penetration for in-building. So if you're in-building, in car park, in basement, the NB-IoT has a much better solution, unless you're using the LoRa, where you have a gateway at each one of those levels. Interference, this is an interference immunity. So the LoRaWAN has a high immunity to interference, whereas the NB-IoT has a low immunity. So, you know, we are susceptible to radio interference with NB-IoT. The network is a fixed network with the LoRa, so typically it is a physical network, physically connected network via the gateways, which follows a traditional data networking model, whereas the NB-IoT is a roaming model. So we're seeing that we can deploy sensors anywhere we like at any point in time without a need for a gateway. It's auto-recognizable and auto-connect. Of course, we talked about, Joe talked about the standard being proprietary. LoRa, today I think there are 9 standards for LoRa, 9 variations of LoRa deployment, whereas the NB-IoT is actually dictated by 3GPP. So it is an industry standard. And as I said, this graph here just represents the difference in security, where the green line is the NB-IoT capability, so high coverage, high range, low latency, so it ranks high on the capability scale, high quality of service, high data rates, high security, whereas the LoRaWAN, we're seeing the LoRa capabilities, lower data rates, lower latency, etc. Some industry statistics. The estimation by 2020 is that we will have, for 2022, I think we'll have 5 billion devices deployed on the NB-IoT. So this is very exciting because in every one of those devices will be a chipset. And in every one of those devices will be some sort of data being fed back to some sort of data portal for analysis. And we see here the sorts of things that it will be used for. So we talked about the sensory, the metering, asset tracking, smart parking, smart agriculture. We can give you some examples of this. And typically we're talking about very small packets, deep penetration, low power consumption. These batteries will last up to 10 years with current technology. And as we start to move forward with different technologies in battery, we'll see in excess of 10 years. And a low deployment cost, typically less than $5. This is the mass production now is allowing this to be quite cheap. IoT applications, well, I think Joe covered this before very, very well. Office, factory, warehouse for remote maintenance and control, operation and optimization, staff management, staff movement, home, school and elderly care. If we want to do elderly tracking of our people, where they are, for example, using their GPS location or their status. And typically what we're seeing in the domestic market is electricity, gas and water, so utility metering, remote utility metering. Mountains and rivers for tracking natural disasters such as mudslides and flood warnings. I think we've been using these LoRa and the LoRa capability. I think, Joey, you talked about a solution where they're mounted on the side of a hill, and any movement in terms of angle or positioning of those sensors could indicate movement in the land. So it requires a pre-warning. Public infrastructure, of course, and street lighting, and doing protective maintenance and preemptive maintenance. Transportation, which has been a long serving customer of the LoRa capability and remote mobile data. And of course agriculture, and I'll give you some very good example in terms of agriculture or horticulture, where people perhaps have not considered the deployment of this type of technology. So AMobile has existing capability in this area for a number of years now in terms of the LoRa IoT solution, particularly device health and energy management. So we have our gateway for instant reporting of this information. You'll see some of this displayed in the back. And more importantly, some of our edge devices now in terms of our supercapacitor UPS to support these endpoints. And because it's a supercapacitor, if somebody wants to know a little bit more about this, come and talk to me after in the break. But it doesn't rely on battery, so it's not a lithium-ion battery. Therefore, it gives us much greater capacity, much safer in an ATEC environment. So if you want more information, come and see me about this, please. More importantly, central and remote device management of every edge device in the network. We'll go through some of how we do this. So we see we have an assembly line potentially with some edge computing capability backed up and managed by redundant power, including a LoRa node, which communicates back to a central monitoring station, which can then be connected through the internet, using our Node Watch software, which controls all of our assets in the field, so that you don't have to worry about deploying yet another piece of software to manage every edge device into a remote solution, which could be in the cloud. Our endpoint computing health and monitoring control manages things like CPU temperature, CPU usage, output power, whether it's on or off. We can reboot it remotely, look at the status of the hard drive, pretty much any of the statistics that you need to monitor within an edge device monitoring unit. So we can manage our computers, provide some proactive support and maintenance based on threshold, not on failure. If something fails, too late. We need to know when it's getting to a point. And of course, remote control from any place. I mentioned before that we have an integrated software approach in terms of how do we manage the endpoints. We have integrated firmware detecting the status of the devices within our devices. So our management capability at the superconductor cube has this capability built in its firmware. Our management software in terms of our display panels and our gateways that control that capability and report that back through central information. We use our Node Watch platform as the concentrator of that information, and of course a user app to give you remote access to control from anywhere. Okay, now I'll give you some use cases. Am I going for time? Okay. Smart meter electricity and grid manager. So, in Australia at the moment, we have been engaged by an energy provider to develop a device which is an integrated board which sits in the back of a standard commercial switch in front of a typically an air conditioning unit. And it is used in an environment where Australia, obviously, we have very wide extremes in the summertime of heat. We can get 42 degrees Celsius in the summer, which is natural and regular. So when we have a huge demand on the grid, typically what happens, the grid is at risk of being pulled down in an entire suburb or an entire area. So this device will monitor the current draw and the status of an air conditioning unit in every household. It has it has an NB-IoT chipset, so it can communicate back to base. It connects to the smart meter, and in a situation where we're looking to have a grid surge situation, the energy provider can send a text message or an email, or both, to the consumer and invite them to opt in or opt out of an auto switch off. And in the event that they do that, the energy provider will pay the consumer a rebate at a margin. which will give them effectively a profit. So in a situation where we'll switch those 4 units off, and they switch them off for 2 hours, they switch them off for 4 hours, and they switch them off for 24 hours. Moving beyond the domestic, we're talking about commercial application where if you are a facility that has a backup power generator, in Australia, in order to have a backup power generator, you must register this with the energy provider. You cannot have one without registration and certification. In that situation also, the energy provider may dictate, it's not law yet, but they're talking about this, that this device here be used for auto switching to the alternate power supply in order to mitigate the risk of an entire grid shutdown. So this is the sort of thing that we are playing with at the moment in our region. So opt-in, opt-out capability, looking at consumption, looking at the line itself and line monitoring, smart metering as part of that, and that's a very real situation of how we're using NB-IoT. In this situation, LoRa would not be appropriate because we're talking about deployment across the entire metropolitan area and country areas for this technology. And we can't put gateways in every one of those locations. Smart horticulture. We're seeing the deployment of ambient temperature sensors so that we can measure the temperature within this greenhouse, ambient humidity, monitoring CO2 levels. This then relates to power management and the amount of power that we're consuming to cool this area or to keep it environmentally balanced. We're putting devices in the soil at this level here so we can manage dew on the leaves to help us manage disease and looking at soil moisture content. Now, the whole point of this, of course, is to increase our crop yields and to reduce the energy costs, of course, to eliminate disease, but optimize irrigation and effectively reduce our storage costs by being able to time our production yield out to the marketplace. All of this is being integrated via an NB-IoT solution, but it can be deployed via LoRaWAN because in a LoRa situation, because in this situation here, it is a closed environment. This could very easily be deployed through an AMobile solution. As we'll understand, in a greenhouse situation, when the sun comes up at this end and reduces over the greenhouse, we will have different hotspots within the environment. Typically, in the past, you've attempted to cool the entire greenhouse as one environment. With the NB-IoT capability now, with the sensors that we have, we can now target our cooling within the heat spots of the area. We can tailor our irrigation to the areas that require at the time of the day that it requires it when we have the heat or the humidity drops. So we're seeing that we're actually creating a very micro environment for management of our crops. Joe mentioned before smart trash, smart rubbish bins. This is actually a deployment. And we're seeing that the rubbish bins that are sitting in the street measure fill level. So we can then manage that by weight, by fill level in terms of volume inside the bin. We're also measuring the temperature inside the bin because somebody may put some putrid rubbish in the bin. So the bin may only be 20% full, but because it's rotting and starting to smell, it can create an issue for the environment. What it's actually been able to do, because we're GPS located, the rubbish collectors will only go to the bins that are meeting the threshold for either being full or being too hot. So that what the result has been for the business is a 50% reduction in labour costs in terms of we don't have to visit every single rubbish bin every single day. We only go to the rubbish bins that need to be emptied when they need to be emptied. It's 40% reduction in the bin lifting requirement. So we're actually not lifting every bin now. We're finding that we're lifting 4 out of 10, where before we were lifting every single one. And of course, its operational efficiency has gone through the roof, so that translates to profitability, increased profitability. We've tried this with the battery packs. We've also tried it with a number of the bins have solar panels on the lid for recharging capability so battery doesn't become an issue. And again, classic example of an NB-IoT solution. We talk about smart water management, where we can actually manage and monitor the water flow, water quality monitoring, and you'll see on the table here on the side, there are a number of different sensors in terms of particulate matter sensors, flow sensors, temperature sensors. All of those can be deployed in this typical solution, which looks at pipes, which looks at smart metering. When you put it all together, one of the use cases that we were talking about was if the meter is not clicking over, it tells us logically there is no consumption. But we look at our flow meter, and the flow meter is going crazy. We put some logic behind this in terms of AI, and that tells us we have a leak in the pipe. Because the meter is not flowing, but the flow meter is telling us the water is flowing. So it's actually flowing out before it hits the meter, which means we have a cracked pipe. So this is the sort of logic process that we're able to put into manage our infrastructure for this sort of utility deployment. Again, we've seen in the trials that were run an 8% reduction in meter misreading because now we are reading it directly from the meter, smart meter, and this we're talking about how we adapt back to mechanical metering. Not too many water meters are digital, they're still on analog. We've managed in the trial to reduce water bills by 30%. Again, thinking of the environment, we don't want the water coming out of our drinking water and going down the drain. And of course, we don't have to send out labour anymore to go do the reaping because it happens automatically. Joe, you were talking before about the bikes. Here it is. Very, very important because when the use case came out for this, particularly in the urban environment, there was a lot of theft, so they needed to track where the bikes were at any point of time. In this situation, LoRa solution not appropriate, but an NB-IoT solution is very appropriate because you can track that asset anywhere in the marketplace. This one here also has in the hub a battery pack, which allows you to pedal assist capability, so they're able to track the status of the consumption of power and wattage in these bikes, just to see what the use is and how people use this device and where they use it. So again, a very, very simple device. The app allows you to go up, and I think this is a Bluetooth integration, isn't it, with the device, where you go up to the device and unlock it. So I think that's a Bluetooth integration with an NB-IoT solution. So thank you for your time. I used the gentleman's slide that we are flying together, and this is a collaborative approach, and I think with our partners in terms of how we integrate their products in our solutions, we are looking to attack the market in quite an aggressive stance. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll take them gladly in break.
And now, please allow me to welcome Executive Vice President of AMobile, Hector Lin.
According to the schedule agenda, we're supposed to have a coffee break. We decided to cancel it because the following topic is too important to me. You know what? I was a little bit disappointed this morning. When I come in here, I invited Terry Cole to join. Does anybody know who is Terry Cole? Terry Cole is the president of Foxconn. No, he recently decided to run a presidential election. I invited him. He said, "What's the topic for today?" I said, "Sense data." Okay? So, you come all the way, not just attending today's seminar, right? Some international friends, you come here to join Computex. In the Computex, have you seen anything new this year? Anybody? Probably will need coffee now. Talk about a lot about 5G, right? In your country, India, talking about 5G nowadays? Yes, right? How about in America? I think 5G is a hot topic now. What is 5G? 5G is the next generation, network generation of mobile internet connectivity, offering faster speed and more reliable connections on your smartphone and all mobile devices ever did before. That's 5G. And 5G is going to help to build a smarter cities. Okay? This is the history of different generations of telecommunications starting from 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. Okay? And these protocols are leading by different technologies, including NB-IoT, just now Gary mentioned and Joe mentioned, as well as LoRa, 3G, eMTC, Wi-Fi, LPWAN, Sigfox. Okay? So make it a city become more smarter. To sum up, what is 5G? 5G has following advantages. One, the speed. This is going to be 10 times faster in speed than 4G. Okay? The capacity. The capacity is going to be 1,000 times bigger than nowadays. Connection. 100 million connections. 100 billion, not million, 100 billion connections under 5G networks. Low latency. The latency is going to be less than 1 millisecond. And then the battery. We talk about the battery lifetime. It's going to be 10 years. The battery consumption is low. Okay? Who wants 5G? Tony, do you like 5G? Everybody likes 5G. Donald Trump likes 5G. That's why he started the war with China to make sure he's able to make the America great again. 5G technology is so important, and it is also important to our technology. Who are 5G players? Qualcomm, of course, American company. Nokia, Ericsson, European company. Samsung, Korean company. Huawei, Chinese company. But I'm sure it's going to be in the map in the future or not. ZTE, of course. I'm not sure if ZTE will survive in this trading war. But anyway, we have MediaTek. So MediaTek, I downloaded it an hour ago. They launched the very first 5G SoC in the world's integrated 5G chip for the smartphones. Okay? So, this is the butterfly that Albert used to use. In the butterfly, we have MediaTek, we have Honeywell, we have Wistron, we have Albert. So sometimes, when I do the international sales, I tell my customer I'm a MediaTek company. Sometimes I say that I'm a Wistron company, or I say to customer that I am Albert company. And of course, I am the loyal partner with the Honeywell. Okay? So who am I? Who is AMobile? AMobile dedicated to building the connected industry, to making the industry connected. That's our vision. It's AMobile's vision. What do we do? What do we do? We have created an ecosystem, eco-partner system involving hardware, providing sensors, involving Arbor, providing customized IOs. They are specialized in industrial PC. The leading company in industrial PC. We partnership with MediaTek, providing us the wireless IO modules. Now what do we do? Our CTO is here. Combining all these resources, we have this device to cloud. That's what AMobile do. In future, 5G starting to deploy in 2020 with the NB-IoT, LoRa, Sigfox, whatever protocols, sending the data to the cloud. We providing the device to cloud, connecting both ends. That's what we do. Okay, so we open up the wireless communication map. Different protocols has different roles. Okay, you're very familiar with RFID, Bluetooth, Zigbee, Wi-Fi, LTE, and this. Okay, they are all playing different roles in the coverage, as well as in the data rates. Different protocols has different advantages and disadvantages. Okay? If you remember what I said just now about 5G, here is 4G. 4G's transmission coverage is 10 kilometer, and the data rate maximum 1G. How fast is 5G? 5G. How fast? It's 10 times, right? It's 10 times. Okay, so it's already beyond that. It's already beyond that. With the 5G deployed, all our device to cloud will be able to install everywhere in the world. Okay, so getting the whole picture of AMobile, getting the whole picture about the NB-IoT, about the LoRa, and everything. Okay, so this is the advantage. To sum up, I studied for you. What's the advantage of NB-IoT? Low cost. NB-IoT started from 2016, when the very first debut of this technology, the module cost $20 per piece. And right now, it's about $5 per piece. Am I correct me if I'm wrong? Okay, so $5, and then aiming to reduce the cost to $2 per module. That's the idea, and that makes the NB-IoT become competitive with others. Billions of connections. This is 50 to 100 times than 4G. Okay? 100 times than 4G, 20 dB better. Means deeper penetration and greater coverages. So that Gary mentioned about the parking use case, right? So the parking slots, can be built under the ground, indoor. Because of the NB-IoT deep penetration characters, we'll be able to bring the solutions for the smart parkings. Okay? Low power operations that can ensure the battery can survive longer than 10 years. And then, most important, the integration into cellular system, very easy to deploy. That is together with the 2G, 3G, 4G, or 5G in future. The system can be coexist. So we are all in the business world. We talked about a lot about NB-IoT and what will it bring good to ourselves. The market. The market needs it. The market needs it. The compound annual growth rate for NB-IoT market is 66.6% annually. What a great market for NB-IoT. Are you all good? You all follow? I see many people taking pictures. It's okay. So, AMobile is a new company. This company lasts for 5 years. In the past 24 months, what do? We build a case one after another. Based on NB-IoT, once we decided to go on this path. We have built the smart appliances. We have built the smart meters. We have built trackers. We have built the smoke alarm detectors. We have built the wearable devices. One project after another, we close the deal, we build the products in order to meet the application needs. No matter it's static, including infrastructure, manufacturing, energy, retail, and building automations. Also, dynamic. Static means things are fixed, no moving. Dynamic means it's moving, like a bike. Okay? So I won't spend much time about these use cases because Gary already giving like 6 use cases to prove that NB-IoT is already popular and very successful in this industry. Okay. Regarding the smart agriculture, using the NB-IoT technologies, and particularly like mention this because this is a true story. A college graduate American engineers who grow marijuana in South America. Only one person, only one engineer. Very low cost and very profitable business. So, by building the device to cloud, embedding the pH sensor, moisture sensor, lighting sensor, one engineer alone, very productive to grow marijuana and become a millionaire. Okay, parking, smart parking. This is using the NB-IoT technologies, low cost, real-time data transmission, deep penetration, light coverage, low power consumption, easy deployment. These are all the benefits that NB-IoT can bring to the solutions. Remember, I talked about the solution we built, device, the tracker. Tracker is embedded on the pallet, okay? Each container has a pallet, so we will be able to, the customer will be able to trace and track the pallet and their goods, okay? So we have approximately 6 to 5 live demonstrations that we set up over there. Those are the real cases that we built for our business. Feel free to talk to our specialists to introduce you. What are they and how you want to use them. Okay? So those live demonstrations, including the long-wave infrared camera, the smart medical wristband, smart water meter that Gary mentioned, right? Similar solutions, as well as including Honeywell sensors to build the device to cloud of ours to detect the PM2.5, to detect the ammonia, to detect the gas, as well as the G sensor. So we will be able to see the live demo over there and talk to our specialists during the coffee break. Okay? So we are not talking about NB-IoT because of this exhibition. this seminar. We already have solution built. We have already the devices built. And starting from last year, we have our CEO here, Eric. Okay? He continuously being interviewed by the press. Okay? So he is a pioneer having this company striving for the NB-IoT solutions. So what's our idea? Eric's idea is NB-IoT is a new technology shaped to human needs. NB-IoT brings people closer to their surroundings. So one press news after another that making AMobile become an NB-IoT solution provider in this industry. So, talk about technology, talk about market. What AMobile can do for you? What AMobile can do for you? Time to market. Time to market. We bring you solutions, we bring you devices. Through private labeling, through semi-customization, through design manufacturing services, we bring you time to market value. For example, this is our hot-selling device, mobile devices. This is too hot, so that our manufacturing has to work like 2 shifts a day in order to satisfy the customer's needs. Okay, what can we do for our customer? We have this standard product built, and then if customer wants, we can load the software, end-to-end software they want. Our watch or our competitors end-to-end software. The keyboard color can be changed, logo can be changed. We also repackaging for you if you need. The semi-customization includes that we put this enclosure become antibacterial if your customer is selling the device to the hospital. That's what we can do. Also, according to your need, we can put different sensors, or we call component, inside the device for your need. It's very easy for us. And the most important, this is to show how our technology advanced in this industry among the competitors. We built a core board. We have leveraged the IPC's idea and experience from Arbor. We built a core board. What's inside the core board? We have energy module set up ready. We have CPU and RF module set up ready. Power management set up ready. Sensing module set up ready. According to customers' needs, according to your needs. The core board is embedded to the carrier board. With the robust ID design and manufacturing that experience we have, we will be able to build the mobile devices that you need in a very, very short period of time. Please think, how much money do you need to spend to build a smartphone? Any idea? I'm a hacker. If I want to have a hacker smartphone, I find someone to build for me, start from scratch. How much do I need to spend? Any idea? The smartphone, like this, that you have probably have more than one smartphone on hand. How much you will spend? $1 million US. What do you think? This is our very important partner. $20,000. You know the answer. What do you think? To build a mobile phone, start from scratch. 3 million US dollars. 3 million US dollars. So that one smartphone has to sell couple $1 million pieces in order to get back all your investment. Am I correct? So who is able to build his own smartphone or smart devices or mobile devices? It's too difficult, right? What if your company needs only like 5,000 pieces of smart devices? What do you do? Come to AMobile. We have a solution for you. Come to AMobile. Please. Thank you. Because of this service, the value-added service, you will be able to do it. Even more exciting, how much time to build a fresh new product? Developing time. What's the developing cycle? A year, right? 8 months to a year. This is typically your engineer will answer you. If you want a new product, give me 8 months to 12 months. Right? That's typically the answer you will get. AMobile gives you an alternative solution. A very low minimum quantity that will require like 3,000 pieces, 5,000 pieces of smart devices. And within 45 to 60 days, using the code board that we built, put on the carrier board, as well as the toolings that we already have for the housings, for several things. We put everything together, we give you a mock-up samples in 45 to 60 days for you to try at a very minimum cost. That's what AMobile can do. Okay, so we have talked about this AMobile's sense data and predict the future. We partnership with Honeywell for sensors, okay, and we are the mobile gateway manufacturers that we call it the cloud device. Okay, we have different hardware devices, and then we also have a strong software team doing the big data and AI analysis, and all the information will be transmitted to the cloud that we built for different industries through 5G, through the IoT that we choose. So again, this butterfly, we have MediaTek, we have Honeywell, we have Arbor, we have Windstrom, and the most important is we have partners. This time, we are going to take partners to fly. We fly together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you for your sharing. BD Director of Honeywell, Kai Figuer.
Ni hao. My name is Kai Figuer, and I'd like to thank Arbor and AMobile for having me here to speak to you on the Internet of Things. It is truly interesting that a lot of the slide decks are very similar in terms of approach and thought, because at this time, we're going through a revolution of data collection. My experience has been primarily through AIDC, automated identification and data collection. So this is kind of interesting. I'm going to go over kind of the root of Internet of Things, how we define IoT, how we're starting to look at sensors differently, because sensing is core to our business. And then look at some sensor examples and kind of review some of the scan engine technology that we provide to AMobile. I'm not sure how many of you kind of really remember where the term IoT came from. It was back when the Auto ID Center was at MIT was working with Procter & Gamble, and a guy named Kevin Ashland actually came up with the term IoT, and that was really for tracking and looking at items throughout the supply chain and being able to use RFID to be able to track everything to the item level. It is interesting now that we're using IoT more for looking at and statusing devices, as well as getting information up into the cloud. You know, what's IoT for us? If you look at the classic definitions, you know, within Honeywell, we generally think of it as disseminating the information across a network to make things smarter and more intelligent. And that's really key to the whole reason why we need to look at the whole IoT infrastructure, because it starts with sensing and collecting data, and then it's a function of where you send that data, how you manage that data, and then how do you infer that data to make smart decisions. And that's where some of the mobile gateways and some of the information on different transport mechanisms comes into play, which you've heard from some of the previous presenters. If you look at the IoT landscape, this is kind of where Gartner looks at, we've got the core industries at the bottom, and I won't call them out because a lot of them have already been called out. And then at Honeywell, we provide sensors. So our IoT, Sensing and IoT group, does first level sensors, then package sensors, then switches and controls, and then gas sensing, barcode detection and optical sensing, software, and test and measurement. So throughout industries, we're looking at temperature, pressure, motion, force, all the key properties that an engineer or a solution architect would need to be able to monitor and make life better for people. We also, have a lot of work in the semiconductor where we're merging sensors with semiconductor equipment to get to the point of having smart sensors. And then the Internet of the Things, the data layer and the IoT platforms send information up to ultimately make, these connected devices, work in different environments. So the IoT technology stack, is fairly well covered by all of the presenters here. And that, truly indicates that this is a well thought out solution. It's the Internet of Things versus the Internet of Sensors from the Honeywell perspective. It's things are connected, but usually there's a lot of embedded sensors. And just to give you an example of, an Apple iPhone, within that iPhone, there's all kinds of sensing going on, from microphones to gyros for altitude and magnetometer sensors, proximity, touch, biometrics, fingerprint sensors, a variety of sensors that are all in one device that then can be used to monitor, location, monitor usage patterns, monitor, the environment, to kind of create all these nodes where you have the Internet of Things. So we look at ourselves as sensing for the Internet of Things. We're not here to really make the Internet of Things. We look at sensing and how that can make a better life for people. Oops. Sensors play a key role in IoT in that, the impact is into trillions. And then, you know, it looks like we're very close in terms of by 2025, we have 75 billion connected devices, which gives a very good indication that, you know, we're already on that path with the actual data to kind of show that we are in a very, very high growth mode. I think that Hector, you know, said the growth rate's around 62%, 66%. So that's kind of indicative that, you know, a lot of people are seeing the same business users need interconnected devices. They need to be able to tag and locate materials, understand how the movement of those materials happens, and then make predictive and condition-based decisions. And also smart homes, smart cities lead to higher efficiency. You know, the way we look for sensing is to really look for the ability to sense anytime, anywhere, by anyone and anything. So that means that, like the discussions for the narrowband IoT, has to be extremely cost effective, has to be small form factor, miniaturized packages, consume less power, have the ability to interface with I/O to allow for data to go both ways, increase intelligence to be able to do some of the computation at the edge, and then optimize for each end application. So we're always working on combination sensing and sensor, what we call sensor fusion, as well as complementing that with artificial intelligence and machine learning to be able to cycle back that data that's deriving better methodology back to the sensor. This gives you a kind of a good indication of kind of the old approach. It was discrete sensors, you know, to a board on a PGA, and looking at the different blocks of a circuit. That then went down to the level of creating custom ASICs. We're now at the point of having new approaches where we're literally having microprocessors on the sensors themselves that allow for differentiated solutions, being able to reduce your MPI or your new product introduction and development time costs, and align well with the intelligent sensing that's needed for artificial intelligence. But it gives you a sense that, you know, we're seeing the use of microprocessors within our sensors as well as in combination with the mobile gateways to provide the ability to not only sense but also make error corrections or changes out in the field once things are deployed. And the amount of data that comes back gives you an opportunity to refine the processes that you're using. Our focus has always been in terms of looking at the trends, very similar to what was discussed by AMobile and Hector. But, you know, we're also seeing where the world is coming to, you know, more disposable. As costs come down and as usage comes down, we're seeing people, you know, their life cycles are getting a lot shorter, their needs are shorter, but, you know, we're seeing miniaturization, combination sensing, intelligent edge devices, and that's where, you know, we look at the right cost of value, decreasing size, power sensing, and then with that embedded sensing, you know, we can provide intelligent edge sensors and, you know, work with partners on wireless end-to-end sensing solutions. The market is extremely large. If you look at the total addressable market is predicted at 100 billion. Our focus is mostly on the sensors. We believe that to be close to 20% with a fairly, and we've seen the actual growth rate for the sensing side to be in the 5+ range. Right now, there's a lot of diversity in terms of how people are deploying, but innovation driven by IoT sensing, has the same 3 characteristics: low power consumption, intelligence, and miniaturization. And with those, we've started to try and develop connected strategies for connected worker, connected house, connected buildings. And that plays into smart city, energy efficiency, and better quality of life. An example of one of our strongest product portfolios is in the pressure sensing. And we've seen over time that we go from a standard pressure sensor that is through-hole technology, has to be soldered to the board, to something that is our board-mounted pressure that literally can be solder flowed, that has some intelligence, and then our MPR gets even smaller and gets put directly on the board. And it provides all of the key customer needs as well as customer benefits in terms of lean architecture, nano power, and basically providing a robust solution that is truly capable of working in mixed media environments, as well as different types of pressure sensing needs. So one of the examples is that I'd like to discuss is where we've used the ADP sensor for pressure sensing. And I'm not sure how many people are using CPAP machines. So let me describe a little bit about what a CPAP machine does. It's used for people who are sleeping and have what's called sleep apnea, where they stop breathing while they're sleeping and then wake up very quickly because the body gets kind of afraid that you stop breathing. So the quality of sleep then starts to deteriorate to the point where you're never really getting good sleep. It's affecting your heart, it's affecting your mind, and it's become a bigger and bigger problem. So ResMed is a leading provider of these respiratory devices, and they're used in the home. And it's truly an IoT device in that it's using our pressure sensor to monitor the air pressure that is being applied to either the nose or the mouth to push air into the lungs to keep you breathing at a normal rate. This device is connected to the cloud so that the amount of air pressure needed can be monitored and adjusted, as well as how much usage is being how much the patient's using the device, as well as any other kind of analytics that are required. And we have over 10 million of these machines going out a year in this truly connected environment. Some of the project requirements were for the CPAP machine were miniaturization. As you can see, they're very, very small. They actually can travel, literally be used portable on a plane. It used to be a box like this big that sat next to your bed. Now we're down to the point where it can almost fit in your pocket. So we're providing smart sensing that allows for detection for under moisture, humidification, airflow, and pressure sensing. A lot of it is a function of, once again, reducing the size, the time to market, power consumption, and the ability to actually get sensor diagnostics for troubleshooting. So in this case, we can send information back down to recalibrate the pressure sensor or make changes as needed. Another IoT example of a sensor that we provide is the IMU. It's an inertial measurement unit that we provide that takes a lot of the technology that was first developed for aircraft for inertial measurement, and now it's actually packaged down into automotive and vehicle applications. So, what makes it intelligent is that, we've developed inertial algorithms and software and calibrate the device, but then the output of the accelerometers, the gyroscopes can be used in combination with GPS data and differential GPS data to literally tell the driver exactly where to go with regard to agriculture, mining, and other large equipment that could need the need or require gyroscopic information for keeping it from tipping over or developing, a safety concern for the driver. So an application environment there that gives you the sense of how IoT can play. I'm not supposed to tell you who the customer is, but I can tell you we're generally making machines that are yellow, and the name starts with a C and ends with an R. So you guys can guess from there. But basically, in this application, our IMU is actually placed in several places within the machinery. And they're looking at the grading equipment in terms of looking at the slope of the blade as well as other areas of the vehicle so that they can cut the ground to very, very precise measurements and literally get to the point of the exact topography that was specified by the user, or by the design company. And that benefits in terms of operator efficiency, saving time and money, and increased accuracy in terms of being able to get the work and the roads graded exactly to where they need to be, because if you think about it, everything starts building from where the grade is of the ground. So it helps tremendously, downstream when others are doing their work and mapping to that environment. So a little bit about our group in the engines. We do a lot of work with AMobile and their mobile devices. We're kind of a world leader in barcode data collection and have a lot of innovations that have really helped to increase the use of machine-readable data, which is barcodes and optical character recognition. We have design centers in Suzhou, as well as Toulouse, France, and then R&D centers in Seattle and Mount Laurel. We provide technical support and really strive to make it so that our customers get high efficiency data, high accuracy, and the ability to count on the data being correct. Because for most of our customer base, the quality of data is important. But once again, if you look at the types of implementations, they're very IoT-centric, where people are collecting data and then using a computer or a connected device to be able to take that information, put it up in the cloud, and use that either for their applications from warehouse management to ERP systems to point-of-sale cash register systems to access control and security to a variety of industrial applications where everyone's trying to collect data. So our focus is in terms of enabling companies like AMobile to be able to provide consistent data to their customer base. an interesting kind of, I threw this slide in because, there's not only the drive for the sensing growth, but one that also kind of factors into mobility handheld devices is package volume. With the new kind of trends in e-commerce and package delivery, we're seeing an explosion of usage of rugged data collection in the warehouses, the distribution centers that are popping up. They're not necessarily getting bigger, they're actually getting smaller with more locations, because the whole expectation now from the consumer is down to the level of same-day delivery. So we're seeing a lot of need for rugged mobile data collection. So this gives a sense of how fast things are growing. We have a full product line. In fact, AMobile uses our N3680 in a lot of their product, as well as the N6600, which are our industry leader in data collection. That's it for my presentation. I once again appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and help to connect the world.
For your sharing. Now, our next speaker, please welcome Product Sales Manager of AMobile, Joey Ye.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joey Ye. I have so many sessions. They talk about sensing. So I will first to talk about, I think, need to get some information to use our partners. The NB-IoT no need a combination, the base station, because they use the telecom component to the base station. So we need to build up like the LoRa. We need to build up the station and get a power. Low power conception. The few slides they talk about 10 years or more, 3, 4, 5 years or 10 years. So this because the power consumption to get a low, we can use the battery to get a device to use. So this point we don't need to get the power line to the device or sensor. You cannot NB-IoT cannot transfer the big data. So I think the best way to use that is use like the sensor, because like the GPS is 2 X and Y, it's just the numbers, and like temperature and your vibrate and your so many like gas on or off or vibrate is just number. So you can easily to NB-IoT to transfer the data, and we can use it in the best. We talked about the big data. That's because a few years ago we talked about big data. That's because we don't have the big data. But now we have so much data, so we need a useful data. Because like a bridge, we have a demo here. It's like a bridge. We have a viper. Maybe I take a trigger is a 50. So in the 50, you will trigger me to give me a warning. We need to check the bridge. But now in the bridge, maybe have the 1,000 or 5,000 sensor. Now he will tell you every 5 minutes. It's a 13, 12, 13, 12, 13, 12. I don't need this information. I need to trigger to warning me to more than 50. So now we calculate in the data, in the device, like the water meter. We're doing that in the calculate, the photo to get a number like this. like this. The old way to doing, they will use the picture. They send to the server. They calculate on server and get a number. But we do it in a different way. We calculate on the water meter. They will get an answer. They just send the answer. They don't need to send a picture. But send the one picture, I have so much the word. So NB-IoT is different to LoRa or Wi-Fi. Because Wi-Fi or LoRa, you need a build-up, but you don't need a communication fee. But NB-IoT use a telecom company, you need to pay some fee, but it's low. But if I send so many pictures, I need a more communication fee for a telecom company. And you need to back up this photo in your server. Is another money. So I think this can use to do like this. And we use the AI to learning like this with a bubble inside. And water meter have some maybe rock inside. We use AI to calculate to do it. Like this, you can see the, what's this one? It's a 100%. I check. This is 99%. So if they have some like this, I cannot figure out. We will get one more photo to check and make sure what data in our server is correct. Like this. Oh, this this for the meter is like the this stitch is old school. I don't know what's this. Oh yeah, I know. So it's a different way to do it. Here they say in another session they talk about a bridge. Is that I talk about like this. They will give you the X and Y, and we will calculate and make sure if I think maybe like the highway have a bridge. If I get sometimes with the train road, I will give the list, and they will calculate to it's right because they have a train on the station. So we can calculate this in the device. It's another case. In stage trifle, have so many trifle estimate, wear and power. So if this in here, the wind from here, they will check here fluctuate. Maybe have some problem to do it. To do check and make some ticket. It's a difference. It's a very same to with the bridge. We're doing like this, and on the mountain here. So maybe have the one have the viper. I would not do anything because maybe some animal to bird or dog to do it. Maybe a 3 or 4 have some change the detection or angle. We will learn to do it like this. So it's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.